It's time for the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games at Southern Utah University in Cedar City. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of a Utah sports tradition at utahsummergames.org. Participate in over 50 sports around the state. Then plan to join the opening ceremonies Friday, June 5th, presented by State Bank of Southern Utah. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games.
Do you love the Tabernacle Choir? This year, the choir's music is everywhere you are. Listen to your favorite choir songs and music and the spoken word anytime you want on Alexa by simply enabling the skill.
Alexa, play music in the spoken word.
Now playing music in the spoken word.
You can also download the Tabernacle Choir app, subscribe to the choir on YouTube, listen on Spotify, and have access to all their wonderful music. Happy listening.
Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome in on a Wednesday morning. The Utah Mammoth win again. They beat the Winnipeg Jets 5-3. They are going to be the first wild card. Kings only picked up 1 point with an overtime loss in Seattle. So the Mammoth are up by 2. They've got the tiebreaker with the most regulation wins. So they're all set. We'll get to the best of post-game show coming up. We spent a lot of time yesterday talking about your Utah Jazz and what will happen with the Jazz big men. Kevin Love, Jusuf Nurkic, free agents. Kevin Love meeting with the media. Here are his comments. Listen in.
You talked about kind of the same things that he said before about coming here and kind of being surprised by how much that you enjoyed not just like Utah, but like the Jazz, the organization, more specifically. Did that kind of last throughout the season? And then how much does that play into what might happen after this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think Nurk and I have spoken about it at length, just how much we've enjoyed our time here. I think Nurk, myself, we're in a unique situation. Me specifically, just coming into my 18th year, not knowing what to expect, coming from a place with the Heat and with that organization where, quite honestly, I thought I'd end my career. And, you know, this is the NBA. It's a business, right? And sometimes your life and certain things in it can get uprooted, even in your worst years, personally. And I came here not knowing what to expect, but whether it was Austin, whether it was Will, whether it was Jay-Z, whether it was Ryan, you know, not unlike our 19-year-old, they said, let's just get him here and we'll let everything fall where it should. And I was very surprised and welcomed with open arms by everyone. You know, I've been on record saying I've had a truly great experience here, and that has remained throughout the course of this year, even with you know, the circumstances we find ourselves in, and you know, trying to reload for next year and for the future. But from Ryan all the way down to, you know, our equipment managers, the people that clean the building, our security that welcomes us into the arena, our bus drivers, the people that work at the airport, like whoever it is, they've been incredible. And I think Nurk and I have been we've been very vocal about it. Like, we would be back here in an instant, just trying to, you know, be great vets and help guys like Ace, again, who's 19, guys in their, you know, first contracts, guys kind of in the middle of their career, all the way through those who are ready to turn their page and really make an impact in the league. So, you know, that's a long-winded way of saying I don't know what the future holds for me, but I would hope that, you know, whether it be the front office or ownership or the coaching staff and all the powers that be would look at me as a vet that they would think to bring in. I know I have a lot to give, even if that's not planned. And I know each and every teammate there would you know, say the same. And I can leave here knowing that I poured everything into, you know, each one of these guys, just trying to help them personally and professionally.
Is there anything new that you learned at this point in your career, taking on the role that you did here, specifically with the Jazz? Anything new about yourself?
I just think more than anything, just within your career, you know, different years take different shapes just when you think you've seen it all, for better or for worse, good and bad. And there was a lot of good this year. Things just kind of shifted, and I was able to help people. And I always look at myself at 19 years old, getting drafted, having played my first game at 20, what I was able to, or what I needed and what I didn't get at that time, both on and off the floor. I think I certainly try my best and am very intentional in providing what people need and giving them an olive branch to give them a safe space to get better as a player and as a person. So I know that within this organization, we don't like just to build players, but we like to build great people as well. And I think whether I'm on the roster or not next year, or whether I'm looked at as somebody who might be a value add as a great vet, because I think I'm a true believer that vets matter, that I will still be close with and have impact on these guys' lives in one way or another.
How much do you think credibility matters when it comes to the vets on the team?
Am I not credible?
No,
I'm kidding.
I'm paying you the compliment.
I'm kidding. No, I definitely think it matters. And I think I just think there's a built-in trust factor. It may not look like it, but actually we would probably know, having the conversations, you would know better than most that, Keontae actually and I probably have more similarities than some would think on the surface. He took a big step this year in his third season. In my third season, I was most improved and, was an all-star for the first time. And, if not for, a few hiccups that weren't his fault necessarily, Keontae would have been right there as well. And, there were certain things that followed him that don't need to be spoken about because he's turned that page, that I certainly had as well. And he's had a lot of growth, and he's been extremely fun to be around and be a locker mate with. So Keontae is a great example. We all know P5. We all know Ace. Everybody's had their Ace moments throughout the course of the year, and he's somebody that, he's fucking asking me about investments now. I'm like, Ace, you're hilarious. But no, I think it's that, as well as like something as small as being his locker mate here at the facility, like keeping up his locker and being a human being, all the way to just chasing the game and letting everything else chase you back. And when things aren't adding up, start subtracting. There's little things here and there that he's continued to get better at, and he's made huge strides this year, which has been amazing to see. But then Lowry, he's like my little big brother. I know that he looks at me the same. He keeps asking me, are you coming back? Are you coming back? I'm like, Lowry, you say something. Why don't you? It's not on me. They're going to look at me like this is this old guy. What are you talking about? But there's tons of examples. Like I could go with Cody or Zay or Bryce or, Flip. Flip and I have had many conversations about our life and families and the complexities of that. And, when Flip has gotten minutes, you can see his talent out there on the floor. To Walker with his shoulder, I also had the same shoulder injury, and I've had a lot of conversations with him, about that and how he'll bounce back and, ideally getting the contract situation out of the way. Like all that stuff matters. Again, I've seen a lot, I've done a lot, I've had a lot of success, but I've also had a ton of failure. So I think that there's a lot to be learned in all of that, and maybe even more so in the latter.
There's Kevin Love meeting with the media as the season ends. Now here's Jusuf Nurkic.
Well, Nurk, your time here with the Jazz, is there something new you discovered about your game at all at this point in your career?
I guess how nice can be when everything fell in place. From top to the bottom, I guess, with the teammates and coaches and office, and I felt super, I guess, nice. That's kind of a new thing, I guess. I guess as a pro and when you're in the league for a little bit, kind of forget how, I guess you lose a sense of humanity about it and try to be a pro and do as situation it is. But then when you kind of settle down and see the beauty, the work and everything, kind of the job, enjoy it, it's pretty special though.
Isn't sports supposed to be fun?
That's true, but trust me, it's not all the time though. Like I said, situation sometimes we choose and sometimes we not. People burn bridges and not build them. Maybe it's not all our case scenario that we want, but as the more you figure out how to have fun, and the more people around you and staff and the front office want to succeed, I guess it's the best, I guess, performance that you can have when you have fun. And as long as you're searching for that, it can be tricky. But I guess when you find that, it's pretty easy flow for the game and how you feel and how you perform. But you're right. That's a goal, kind of to have the fun out there, though.
I mean, I want to figure out kind of maybe your motivation as you move forward after this season, because we've talked a lot prior to this about how much you've enjoyed your time here and that you'd be fine coming back. But like, where kind of on the priority list is that? Like the enjoyment of your surroundings, money, a starting spot? Like, what is it that you want for next season?
I mean, it's a good question, but I think it's kind of too early. To the point, it'll be such easy to come back, and I want to come back. To your question, love everything about the state and the team. It was one of those things that you didn't have expectations and end up like a beautiful thing. Like it's almost after the rain, like you see the sun. It's kind of the closest I can explain. But also it's like free agency is it's a tricky thing, and you want to be part of it. So I can't really speak too much about it. We'll see how my agent handled that. Like kind of leave him and team to figure out that spot. And I want to be back. That's kind of I guess the main goal. But like you can't really promise anything these days from the team or the players, as you know. So.
Your 3 back-to-back triple-doubles, that was the first time in Jazz history for a player to have consecutive triple-doubles. What did that stretch mean to you?
I mean, to the point of the fun, I feel like that was the stretch of the funnest. Like the coach, is really someone who the big reason, I guess, about everything. I guess the biggest reason, because I know I was capable of. But he kind of gave me the green light. I think that the funniest or the best part about this season for me is not like I'm not used, because where I'm from, the coaches all the time yell, right, curse and do some crazy stuff. This might be after the 12th season in NBA only. Like the whole year, the coach was not even single bad word to me in any type of way or forms. And that's probably the kind of memorized my whole season. Like, but it's not like being crazy to me. But like, the winning is probably the most important thing, and that's kind of what we are all excited here. So for next year.
How much did you know Will or know about Will before you got here?
I mean, from side, I know that he's a young coach, right? Hear great things about it. Have a few conversations over the phone when the trade happened. Didn't have too much, or didn't give too much into it. Like I said, no expectation. A lot of, the experience I had in my previous years, it was sweet and sour. So you just don't know which direction you might end up and what position you might be in. But relationship from day one to this day kind of obviously got better, but it was the same about approach. Like he was really good communicator. He really means what he's saying, which is hard. Like it's business, right? And we've been together with the coffee shops and game days, and it kind of special that you have a guy who's really, not just for me, I feel like for all of us here, care deep enough, but also like he understands that he have a young guy that's gonna make mistakes like we all do. He's kind of patient with that, which is not a lot of coaches want to deal with that. Like in my experience, at least, they will just be moving on to the players, and keep finding that whatever they want. But he kind of want to use all the players to see what they can bring, though.
There's Jusuf Nurkic meeting with the media as the season ends. We're going to take a break. When we come back, the Utah Mammoth pick up a big win on the way to the playoffs. That's next. Stay with us. Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. The Utah Mammoth win at home. They beat the Winnipeg Jets 5-3. Let's get to the best of the postgame show.
DJ and PK, the Utah Mammoth beat the Winnipeg Jets 5-3 at the Delta Center on Tuesday, and they also clinched that first wildcard spot in the Western Conference as well, so they will await the Pacific Division champion. We could know the answer as early as tonight. If Vegas gets at least a standings point against Seattle, they'll play at 8 p.m. at T-Mobile Arena. If they don't beat Seattle, Utah awaits to see what happens in Edmonton tomorrow with Calgary, and Edmonton could take the Pacific Division there with a victory and a tiebreaker over Vegas. But if Vegas wins tonight, it's all said and done. Utah will see the Golden Knights in the first round of the playoffs. So that is the situation there. Mammoth returning home and getting things rolling again. Logan Cooley, 8:05 into the first, his 24th of the year.
Here's a stretch feed. Cooley's in the clear. Backhander scores! Logan Cooley dazzles the Delta Center. After the Hail Mary connects, and Cooley gets his 24th of the year. 12 to go in the first period, and the Mammoth are on the board first.
And then that Utah power play got back to work, and Nick Schmaltz would get his 32nd.
Sergachev scanning. Keller at the right circle. There's Sergachev. Keller steps into one. Hit a body in front. That was Cooley battling for positioning at the net mouth. Keller. Sergachev. Gunther thought about it. Back to Sergachev, a drive. Rebound, they score! Power play goal for Nick Schmaltz and the Mammoth. And Utah leads 2-0. 5 minutes into period 2, and Nick Schmaltz has his 10th power play goal on the year to lead the team.
Jets counter with a power play goal. It was 2-1 going to the third, and Utah's power play got right back to work. Nick Schmaltz, his 33rd.
Mammoth set up. Gunther tees up a one-timer and fired it high. Keller on the far side, in tight. Cooley feathering one back to Gunther on the near side. Schmaltz has to bump it back out. Keller side of the net. Schmaltz fires and scores! And Nick Schmaltz has 2 tonight. The Mammoth extend their lead, and it's another power play goal.
And then 26 seconds later, J.J. Peterka got his 25th.
It's Kerfoot jetting to center and then shifting gears into the offensive zone. Sandberg ridden up against the glass by number 15. Peterka in front, dangles and scores! Hey, J.J. What a goal from number 77, J.J. Peterka. And the Mammoth are feeling it at the Delta Center.
But 13 seconds after that, the Mammoth took a penalty and went shorthanded. And before you knew it, it was a 4-3 game with 2 goals and a $147 from Winnipeg before Alexander Kerfoot scored into an empty net, and the Mammoth take it by a count of 5-3.
Huge dog pile back behind Karel Vejmelka. It pops in front. Kerfoot at the empty net. Bingo! 5-3. Apply the coup de grace. 23 seconds left in the third. Alexander Kerfoot rewarded with the empty net goal. He's been fantastic tonight. It's goal number 7 on the year for Utah's Swiss Army knife.
So offense fueled by the power play, back and rolling for Utah. They've now scored 4 goals or more in 7 of their last 9 and in 10 of the last 14. The power play is now 14 for the last 35 over the last 10 games. That is a 40% clip. So the Mammoth got goals. Got some big saves from Karel Vejmelka, his 38th win of the year. Veggie also ranking first in the NHL in minutes and third in saves. So a victory in the return home. Mammoth clinched that first wildcard spot. 1 game left in the regular season. It will be Thursday night at 5:30 against the St. Louis Blues. Utah continues to cook offensively, led by Nick Schmaltz, who picks up another one. 7 goals in his last 10 games. We heard from him after the game.
Obviously, we spoke on the bench, but how does the maturity in this group showcase in a game like that, especially late?
Yeah, we had a little adversity there. They made a push, but we stuck with it. And big goal by JJ kind of gave us that extra cushion we needed. And we hung and we fought to the end. And guys made some big blocks, and Veggie made some big saves at the end.
When it comes to the quick passing, the quick movement that you saw, especially in the first and second periods, what led to that?
I think we just talked about it. We're a better team when we move the puck quick and use our speed and catch them off guard a little bit. So when we try to drag it back and teams get set, and it's hard to beat all 5 guys. So when we can move the puck up quick, transition, and use our speed, we're pretty difficult to play against.
What about Veggie making some very timely saves, especially in the first period?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, he's been good for us all year. You're going to need those saves this time of year. It's big momentum shifters for either team, and he did a great job for us.
You guys clinched wildcard 1 today. Does that were you guys thinking about that at all? Does it matter to you at all?
I think we were just trying to play as best we could these last 2 games. We had 2 losses in a row, so we wanted to bounce back at home and put ourselves in the best position we can.
How have you seen the group collectively step up in these moments? Like, last week when you clinched a playoff spot, and now tonight clinching the top wildcard.
Yeah, I think, we talked about we just don't want to be limping into the playoffs. We want to be rolling, and we want to be everyone feeling confident and hit the ground running right from game 1. So we're trying to build as much as we can before we got one more game to do that, and we got to be ready for Thursday and then just build into the postseason.
Power play goals tonight. What's going right with the power play?
I think we're just moving the puck good, and we're catching. When we move the puck, it's tough to kill. I think when we hold on to it and dust it off a little bit, teams get set, and it's they pack it in tight, and there's not much there. But when we shoot it, recover, make quick plays, we're pretty dangerous.
You look at the stats. It looks like that was a sudden change. Like one game you guys weren't scoring, and the next game you're scoring every single time. What changed? Like, was there a moment where you guys sat down and figured it out?
I don't think so. I think we got confidence. We've had the similar power play unit for quite a while now, so we know where each other are. We have confidence in every guy in the unit, and things weren't just going in. I don't think we were shooting enough pucks, and we're a little too perimeter. So I don't know what changed, but it's definitely a good time to get it going.
Is that just baseball?
Yeah, it's ball, baby.
Also heard from J.J. Peterka, who finished off his 25th of the season for Utah in that third period. That would end up being the game-winning goal for Utah to make it 4-1 as Winnipeg finished with 3. Here is John Jason Peterka, who we heard from post-game.
We've talked a lot about playoffs, and obviously you guys know what to expect going into this next stretch of the season, but how does pace and speed separate you from other teams you play in this league?
I think you've seen it today, the way we can play when we all play with speed. I think it's like day and night to the other games we played before, so I think build on that.
Obviously, a little bit of adversity in that last period. How has this group grown in terms of maturity in handling some of those closer games?
I mean, Veggie had a hell of a period there, saving us more and more. I think just kind of buckling down at the end of the night, trying to keep them to the outside and play a more mature game.
Part of that speed is quick puck decisions. What have you guys worked on to make sure that you're having those quick decisions and the right decisions?
Just trying to play north every time. I think seeing it on the goal from Cools, I think best example. You don't hold it back there, just move it up. And yeah, I think no team can handle us if we play with that pace.
Personally, how excited are you to be on the verge of your first experience in the postseason?
Oh, it's gonna be awesome. I'm super pumped. Even talking to fans here, they're also excited to bring the playoffs here. So I can't wait for it to begin.
How dangerous do you feel like this team can be?
I think a little bit of an underdog, especially when we play the way we play today. Just kind of like trying to drag the good teams down, the big ones.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And head coach Andre Tourney liking the response from his Utah team. Had a little bit of a bumpy weekend, falling in Calgary Sunday and Carolina on Saturday. Just their only 2 losses, though, in the last 8 games. Mammoth winning 6 of 8. They'll look to make it 7-9 going into the playoffs. Heard from Bear post-game as well.
Really happy about the way we played. When we talk about our identity, we talk about how we wanted to play. And we talk about it this morning, the speed we played, the battle we had, the net front presence, the tempo we had. Really happy about that. Obviously, third period we made it tougher than we should have. But it will be good learning from us. And all our guys are pros. We know that. So it's not like we learned something tonight. We knew that. So it's just that happened. Glad it happened, though.
Can you expand on the importance of learning how to win in those close games and battle adversity in the third period, especially going into tight playoff games?
Yeah, there's 2 parts of it. It's kind of when it was 4-1, like I said, we made it tougher than we should have or could have. But when push come to shove and that was tight, we played solid. We didn't give much. We were stingy. Even when they had a shift around 4 minutes when they had the puck in our zone a lot, but nothing around that. The guys were rock solid.
And looking at some of the offensive numbers, I mean, you guys dominated for most of the game. Obviously, that stretch at the end, not as much. But how does stacking that success or that execution offensively then allow you to have and weather that storm of the adversity in the third?
Yeah, I think there's a lot we can take from that game, and what the guys wanted to do today, the way they wanted to play, and the result of, in terms of numbers, like you said, of that effort is really good. So it's a feel good when you put the effort, you have a mindset how you want to play, and it works. I think that helped a lot.
I'm just curious if there's any update on Sean Durzee's situation.
No, there's no update for now.
It seemed like Mikhail Sergachev was really looking for his shot tonight. How big of a difference does it make when not only Sergachev's involved offensively, but the defense as well?
It was rock solid. I think the big guy was. We needed that kind of a performance, and he delivered. He was really, really good. We had a lot of flyer work good tonight, but I think Sergei stood out for me. It was a beast.
How impactful was that Tanev line? It seemed like every time I looked up, they were hitting somebody or doing something.
Exactly, and that's why I was happy they were on the ice at the end with Kerfy. But still, I think they earned it. They had possession, and they played it right away. They often say to them, "You get it out, you get it in, you get it to the net, and you get on the body." And that's exactly what they did. Thanks, everyone.
So 8 Utah skaters score in the game, 2 players with multiple points. Nick Schmaltz with his 20th multiple point game of the year and his 7th game of the year of at least 2 goals. Logan Cooley, his 9th game of the year with at least 2 points. We're talking all about it on Mammoth Daily, wherever you get your podcasts. Apple, Spotify, Utah Mammoth YouTube page, Mammoth Plus at SEG Plus. Mike Folta and I with you every day talking Mammoth, wherever you get your podcasts. We'll have Mike's Morning After. Matt McConnell, Nick Olchek will join us from the TV side, and we'll look back at Painting the Ice from Tuesday night at the Delta Center before we greet you again coming up Thursday. It's going to be 4:30 with Hockey Night in Utah, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. With the game nationally televised on ESPN, the puck will drop at 5:30. Fan Appreciation Night and season finale against the St. Louis Blues. Playoff schedule, when we get it, could be possible tonight if Vegas beats the Seattle Kraken, but playoff schedule is yours just as soon as we have it. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, and we'll talk to you on Mammoth Daily and Thursday for Hockey Night in Utah.
There is the best of the post-game show. When we come back, Tim LaComb is talking Jazz basketball. Stay with us. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We are joined by Tim LaComb from the Jazz pre-half and post-game shows. Tim, good morning.
Hi, guys. Good morning. Beautiful morning.
It is a beautiful morning.
It's a beautiful morning.
See, I'm setting him up all the way through.
There it is. Tim, we have a question for you. It's up on our Facebook page. Many people are answering this after the clean out the lockers, the media availabilities and all that. A lot of people talking about how much they loved having Kevin Love and Jusuf Nurkic on the team. Of course, sentimentality will get you beat every time, so you got to be careful with that when you're building the roster, and the Angels certainly will. We've seen them make really big decisions in the NBA that didn't have any sentimentality at all. So I guess the question is, do you see a role for Kevin Love or Jusuf Nurkic next year? And Nurkic at 11 points, 10 boards, 5 assists, I think I see bigger roles and more money for him around the league. I don't know how much more money or how much bigger role or how good the team will be. So it might make sense for him to stay put. But do you think the pieces of the puzzle really fit together, or is this just sentimentality talking?
Well, I think we're way too early to tell. I think what you said, Kevin Love, he did way more for this organization, basically, within the walls of that locker room. His vibe was so good for this team, and particularly for Keontae. I stuck Keontae right next to him in the locker, and I think there was wisdom there. And the other night, the entire team got a technical for celebrating. Those guys on the bench. And so I think Kevin Love's time here, if it is up, that he served a big time purpose that, probably a lot of things will be forgotten. And, he was just vital in a year where everything kind of had to start to galvanize. And there were some, the Jazz got popped early with the Walker Kessler situation. And so it made Kevin and Nurk way more. When I was first at Media Day, the first day, I'm looking around going, how is this going to work? Who's going to play? Who's actually going to play out of these big guys? And Nurk ended up having a great season and kind of resurrected the thought of himself around the league. His still big question mark still is lateral and his ability to guard pick and roll more than just in a drop situation. And so I think the draft is going to determine, each step along the way is going to determine what the roster looks like by what they're able to acquire. But I do think in terms of those two guys, it was a positive experience all the way around. And I'm with you. I think Nurk will demand some attention around the league. And Kevin Love's situation as his age and everything, you just don't know. So I think on both those guys, too early to tell. But I will say they were both really, really, really positive acquisitions for a lot of different reasons.
Well, can they literally afford, competitive-wise and also salary-wise, to have Kevin Love be suited up in an advisory role?
Probably not. That's where you find ways to incorporate guys, as it goes on. But I think at his age again, these were all, a lot of these guys were going to be fillers on years where they were trying to get everything done. And we all know now the runway's clear. There's nothing on it, and we can go. And there's no better feeling when you're at the airport and that thing finally hits the gas and you're like, okay, I can start my trip now. They're not going to keep me on this runway. And so you get up in the air, and that's what the Jazz are going to do next year. They're going to fly.
Nice. Fly, Eagles, fly.
See, I'm just trying to think of things I could say to get you to sing. So stay tuned.
Are you trying to get Sinatra come fly with me? Sinatra was big in this.
No, that's Sammy Hagar. Fly, Eagles, fly.
Okay.
Where Eagles fly.
Yeah.
We got another question up here. Why are so many BYU players entering the transfer portal? And we've got a lot of answers, but one of them, Jesse, clean house, start fresh. Is that the bottom line?
I would say the reason that everybody is in the portal is because it's 2026. Look around, right? Like all of college basketball is in the portal waiting for a call. We've created quite a system there. And, BYU definitely, the one thing you do have the ability to do on a yearly basis is, if it doesn't work out and it doesn't as a team, you don't want a guy back, you can send them, and then there's also the opportunity for guys to go try to find something else. But whatever the hell this is, it's not conducive to team. And that's where this whole thing, was supposed to start, was with teams. So, this was like individual one-on-one basketball, it'd be no big deal. But this is exhausting on the staffs. It's exhausting on the boosters. Like, this particular iteration of what we're doing is not sustainable, as you know. I mean, there's already reports of donor fatigue. Like, I got to write another check for how much, for how long? For 8 months, So, yeah, man, I think guys will learn something every year. I think KY and his guys down there are learning something every year. I really like what I've heard so far about the guys they're getting. But it's, what do they have, like 6 rostered guys for next year now or something, which is a little bit scary. And so it is a new world. But the reason, long-winded answer, it's the old adage, why'd you go in the transfer portal? Because everybody else was doing it.
What do you know of Colin Chandler? What do you expect of him?
I love that kid, watching him play in high school. I missed the opportunity. He was right on the front end of his recruitment when we stepped sideways. And so really kind of watched it more. I broadcasted the state championship game, saw him play a lot in AAU in the summer times here and there. I think more than anything, the most important thing is at one point he was the best player in Utah. And I think that is something every single year that BYU's got to get. I mean, they've got to get this backbone kid. The one strength BYU can have through all this craziness is while everybody turns over their roster right now, like BYU's turning it over, you put guys in place, and they've recruited 2 guys this year, two Temp U guys, Dean Ruckert and Will Openshaw, and I honestly don't know if either, I don't know what their mission plans are or anything, but I don't know that either are ready to make an impact right now in the Big 12. But you get them in your program and you start, getting them stronger, getting them quicker, they're understanding reps. So after a year or so, their ability to go in a game and impact it's there. I mean, use what we've seen from the Jazz the last couple of years. If anybody thought this year, after watching last year, a lot of people wrote Cody Williams off and said he just can't play. And he may not be in the last iteration of what the Jazz do, but the bottom line is that dude, nobody can deny that he's improved. And Bryce Sensabaugh the same, Kyle Filipowski the same, Isaiah Collier the same. So each one of those guys has gotten better. So from year 1 to year 2, you can actually there's some increase in all those guys, which means you've got a better nucleus. And I think honestly that's the biggest thing over the last couple of years. BYU had recruited a handful of guys and developed them. And I know that was the plan with guys like Stanton who left, but you bring him in here, you give him all the resources, you get him stronger, you get him, better, and then at the end of the year, he says, I'm going to go to Oregon State, So I think the advantage BYU has, and it's always been an advantage in college basketball, I still think it is today, is get old and stay old, and it's all relative. Now you just have to get older than, in some cases, 8 months. So if you can keep guys a couple of years, I think it's in your best interest to develop guys and not lose that little piece.
There's a lot made, Tim, and I'm sure you would hear this kind of stuff from boosters because everybody thinks that their kid or their neighbor or whatever is the one who ought to be the next star at BYU. You probably always had to deal with that when you yeah. So, but now they're in the Big 12, and nothing against the WAC, the Mountain West, and the WCC, but the Big 12, in what probably wasn't their best year, had a Final Four team and 3 Sweet 16 teams. How many kids who grow up on the Wasatch Front can really play in the Big 12? Because Utah fans want local kids like they had back in the day in the 90s under Majerus. And BYU fans want BYU. And a lot of them want return missionaries, right? And it's like, but how many guys
playing basketball, coming up on a Wasatch Front, can really play in the Big 12 when half the league is going to the tournament and 3 teams are going to the Sweet 16?
Well, it's not, it's not what it used to be. It's not, like you're recruiting way different than through the years than Frank Arnold was in the WAC and Cleve and all the guys he recruited. And, I give Cleve a lot of credit. Nobody talks a ton about what he did, but, Roger was put in a unique situation. He gets fired and Cleve comes in, inherits a 1-win team and really drags that thing to, back to the tournament, which is pretty crazy. And then, those teams struggled to get over the hump of the tournament, and Dave came in and got that done. And, we got on a little nice tournament run, and then Pope came in and he raised in the NIL time. He did a great job of going out and kind of imagining talent. And so, again, long-winded answer, DJ, I used to get those calls all the time. I've got your next Jimmer here. I'll never forget a dude walked up to me at a high school game, and he had his kid with him. The kid was in the 8th grade. And tapped Coach Rosenau on the back, turned around, he's like, and he was dead serious. I'd like to introduce you to your new point guard, your point guard. He's in the 8th grade. I had to reach down and shake his hand, But that's how people think around here. And now the Big 12 has changed the game, but there are guys, a guy like Richie Saunders was homegrown. I still believe that top-end talent can really compete, but can it be right out of the gate? And that's going to be the big question, which is why you've got to have a little foresight and a little patience, and you've got to have great development, man. You've got to sell development to those guys to get them on the court. It's not what it used to be. You can't load up, obviously, but there are players out there. They got a kid coming back from a mission this year I really like in Brooks Barr. He was a Pope recruit, but he's got a lot of moxie. He's really tough, and I think he'll register. I mentioned Dean down at Timpview. He's a really good player. Did a nice job on the circuit. I just know what freshman years look like. At least in the WCC, Mountain West, WAC. I don't know what freshman years look like in the Big 12, but it's vastly different. You're playing against grown men, and I do think year by year, I think it's starting to really define itself as the best conference. I think Big 12 was better than SEC this year, and I know the proof's in the pudding on that at the end of the day, but the SEC just didn't have the teeth. I thought SEC was maybe a little better the year before. So I think those two conferences are the premier conferences, and so, yeah, you got to be ready to go, and you've got to be really, really tough, and you got to have some size to you. But, there's still guys out there, just not like what it used to be.
How do you rate toughness over talent?
That's a hard one. I mean, we used to say that. I wish you could hook a guy up to something. We have all these combine tests for verticality and change of direction and sprint, quick twitch, all that stuff. I wish you could just take them to a station and hook their finger up to a heart monitor. Not that your heart's beating, but what does your heart tell me,
Yeah.
And so, honestly, PK, that was something I used to try to study, just like when you'd go out and talk to people, research a story. I would sit in those gyms, and I would look for the differentiator, There was a guy like Jackson Emery, and him – the number of times that dude just went straight horizontal to get a ball in high school, to dive and, consequences be damned. And so really it's those little things. It's who's building their teammates up out there. There's a mental toughness aspect to that. Who is, engaged with the coach, who loses their cool, who doesn't, who wins, who wins a lot. And state championships were a great indicator when we get down to the end and have a couple guys to offer and only a couple of spots. We had a little checklist, and we kind of just put them in matrix. And, hey, did they win a title, in their 4 years? Okay, if yes, how many? We go down and really try to find some sort of equation to measure heart. But at the end of the day, it's something that is the beautiful part about it. There's guys that have simply just stuck around on heart. A guy who sticks out in my mind in the NBA is TJ McConnell.
Yeah.
He's got none of the skills that you look for. I mean, he can dribble like everybody else, but what sets that guy apart is his heart, his want to, his willingness to do whatever it takes. And so those are the things you're looking for. And a guy like, I just mentioned his name, Richie Saunders, when I saw him in the 8th grade running, darn near through walls to try to win games. I was like, this kid has all this other stuff's great, and he can really shoot it, and you've got to get that. That's the barrier for entry. You've got to be able to do some of those skill things. But his want to just in 8th grade, 9th grade maybe, just leapt off the court at me. Like, I cannot believe how he might have played as hard as anybody I ever watched. And you know what? My eyes were right. It translated. And I remember back then we offered the kid, and I got emails from parents of kids that were prospects and AAU coaches. I'm like, what are you doing? This kid is nobody. But we saw the heart. Yeah. And, I'd text saying, he'll never play a Division I game. You guys have no idea what. Okay. Well, how you doing today, fellas? Because we saw it and we were right. And I will say we missed too. We missed on heart. We missed on care. But yeah, there's no I think of like a battery cable you could hook somebody up to and give you a reading. There's none of that. So that's part of just your gut, man.
I thought you were going to go cheap trick there, but you were just too into the basketball to really, put yourself downstairs.
What I would say
with
to
the
those
guitar.
kids is I want you to want me.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because we're BYU.
Tim, we'll leave it right there for now. You're the man. Thanks for coming in and talking some hoops as the personnel carousel starts spinning.
Well, it's always an honor. I hold you both in such high regard.
I'll see you soon, maybe.
All right. Are you challenging me to golf? All right. You bring the boom box and the classic rock. I'll bring the Diet Coke and a bad golf game.
Okay.
You two with a boom box at like Willow Creek. That'd be hilarious.
No.
You'd be out of there in about 3 minutes.
The boom box is only allowed at the Mick. Yeah, Mick Riley. That's my new home course.
There's to LaComb. When we come back, what is trending? The headlines are next.